Today I want to share with you really quickly some of the top reasons why I think food should be the number one priority when you're recovering after birth. Number one is purely neurological. So I think that comfort food and really focusing on nourishment stimulates a parasympathetic nervous response, which means it gets you out of fight or flight. Good food can relieve so much of the stress and tension and anxiety that new parents feel around bringing a baby home or parenting maybe for the first time ever, or having just this like really new fragile being around that wakes up at every move, or you're just trying to get used to this this new person that depends on you for everything. That can be so stressful in and of itself. I was just talking to a client the other day just of the stress burden and like the nervous response around simply knowing that at any moment you could be needed. Even if baby's asleep, you could be in the shower. Once that baby cries, you're expected to just be on all the time, even when you're sleeping. So good, nourishing, whole food can really balance that out, especially when it's stuff that really nourishes on a physiological level the nervous system. Number two is purely emotional. I think that we all have emotional relationships with food. Food is very mental and emotional, and we have lifelong histories and relationships with food. And so I think that in times where we need emotional support and respite, comfort food and nourishment is a huge piece of the puzzle. When I've worked with families that have kind of taken a turn emotionally with their mental health especially, and gone down a road of like really needing to kind of back up and recover, food is the number one tool. It's the very first thing that I cover. It's the first question I ask. How are you eating? Not just how are you eating, because most people know how to cover when answering that question, but I ask, what was the last thing you ate? Or what have you had to eat today? How long has it been since you ate something? Fresh, slow cooked, or prepared by someone who really cares for you and that was brought to you. When was the last time somebody brought you something to eat? Not necessarily even like to the house, but as you're sitting in the chair with baby or in bed, when was the last time somebody actually physically carried your food to you? That can be so profoundly emotionally supportive. And just being able to like open those receiving habits and getting into the habit of saying yes, thank you, because you're in such a state of like give, which can be so depleting, not just physically, but my God, emotionally and mentally. And food can be such a huge tool to really just check that and replenish. Again, not just physically. And of course, we have to talk about nourishment on a purely physiological level as far as replacing the energy stores that were spent during birth. You have built this massive amount of blood and life energy and force, and you've expended all of that pushing your baby out, or maybe even having surgery. And food will determine the quality of your recovery. If there's anything you focus on at all, it has to be the food. And I think that we need to be doing more for people who are post-operative anyway, but you add on like all the post-op needs to someone who is also caring for a newborn or 2 or 3 newborns. It's so essential that you get really good, optimal nutrition. And it can be tricky because convenience is also the name of the game, and having things ready on a dime is the name of the game. And so preparedness is key. That's why, so many people in the last weeks of pregnancy when they're nesting do a lot of food prep. But that's also why at Bliss After Birth, we're really focused on providing meal delivery services that can be called upon at any moment. All right, I think that covers pretty much everything that I have on my mind right now. Just to recap, number one is neurological, right? Food, comfort food, nourishing, nutritionally packed comfort food can get us out of a fight or flight and stress response. Number two is emotional. Comfort food can really provide the support that we need when we're giving and feeling depleted postpartum. And number three, of course, comes straight down to nourishment and replacing the energy stores that you spent during birth. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please subscribe to my channel. Make sure you follow Bliss After Birth on all social media outlets, and I will see you very soon.